In the vast expanse of deep space, where countless alien civilizations claimed their piece of the cosmic pie, humanity's first interstellar fleet was often met with mockery and dismissive laughter. "Look at those primitive rust buckets," the Zalaxians would say, their crystalline bodies gleaming with assumed superiority. "Those humans actually think they can compete with real spacefaring races." Our story begins aboard the Earth Coalition vessel Star Seeker, where Commander Sarah Chen stood at the bridge window, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she watched the alien diplomatic ships arrive for the annual Galactic Council meeting. Each vessel was a masterpiece of advanced technology, sleek, energy efficient, and built with materials that Earth's scientists could barely comprehend. But Sarah knew something they didn't, something that made her smile every time she heard their condescending remarks about humanity's outdated fleet. 20 years of service had taught her that sometimes the oldest tricks were the best ones. The aliens, for all their advanced technology, had forgotten the fundamental lessons that humanity had learned through centuries of warfare and survival. "Commander," Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice broke through her thoughts. "The Zalaxian representative is requesting permission to dock. They're, expressing concerns about our primitive docking procedures again." A few chuckles rippled through the bridge crew. If only the aliens knew what those primitive systems really were. The truth was, humanity had deliberately designed their ships to look outdated. Every rust stain, every seemingly inefficient engine placement, every crude weapon system. It was all part of an elaborate deception that had taken decades to perfect. Earth's leaders had learned long ago that being underestimated was one of the greatest tactical advantages you could have. Sarah turned to face her crew, her dark eyes reflecting the distant starlight. "Let them dock, and maintain Protocol Alpha 7. Remember, we're just simple humans trying our best to keep up with the galaxy's finest." The knowing smirks on her crew's faces said it all. They'd played this game many times before. As she watched the crystalline Zalaxian ship approach, Sarah couldn't help but think back to the Battle of Proxima, where 3 primitive human vessels had held off an entire pirate fleet. The pirates had laughed too, right up until they discovered that those rusty panels were actually advanced metamaterial armor, and those clunky weapon mounts housed technology that humanity had kept hidden for decades. The ship's AI quietly announced the approaching diplomatic delegation. Soon, the bridge would be filled with representatives from across the galaxy, each believing they were doing Earth a favor by simply showing up. Sarah straightened her uniform, an old habit from her Navy days on Earth's oceans. Another thing the aliens didn't understand. Humans had been mastering the art of warfare on water long before they reached for the stars. "Commander," her communication officer whispered urgently, "we're picking up something strange on the long-range scanners. Multiple signatures, coming in fast from the outer rim." Sarah's expression remained neutral, but her mind was racing. This wasn't part of the scheduled arrivals. As the diplomatic ships continued their approach, blissfully unaware, Sarah thought about the hidden capabilities of her primitive vessel. If trouble was coming, the aliens were about to learn why you should never judge Earth technology by its cover. But for now, she had to maintain the charade, play the part of the simple human commander doing her best to keep up with her more advanced guests. Little did they know, humanity's greatest strength had always been making others underestimate them. And as those mysterious signatures grew closer, Sarah had a feeling that lesson was about to become very clear to everyone in this sector of space. The bridge of the Star Seeker hummed with barely contained tension as Sarah studied the tactical display. The mysterious signatures had multiplied. 12? No, 15 vessels now, their energy patterns unlike anything in their database. Yet something about their formation tickled at her memory, reminding her of old Earth naval tactics she'd studied in the academy. "Status of our malfunctioning sensor array," she asked quietly, using the code phrase that would activate their true scanning capabilities. Lieutenant Rodriguez worked his console with practiced casualness, maintaining the appearance of struggling with outdated technology while actually bringing online sensors that could put most alien ships to shame. "Multiple warships, Commander. They're running dark, but our systems can detect their weapon signatures. These aren't merchants or diplomats." Rodriguez's voice remained steady, but Sarah could hear the undertone of concern. Whoever these vessels belonged to, they had chosen their timing perfectly, right when the sector's most important diplomatic ships were gathered in one place. Through the bridge window, Sarah watched as another crystalline Xylaxian ship docked, its delegation no doubt preparing to offer their usual condescending advice about upgrading Earth's technology. The irony wasn't lost on her. Humanity had learned long ago that true advancement wasn't about showing off your capabilities. It was about surviving, adapting, and keeping your cards close to your chest. Commander Chen, the ship's AI whispered through her neural link. Another piece of technology the aliens thought humans were decades away from developing. I've analyzed the approach vector of the unknown vessels. They're using an attack pattern similar to the Hegemony Rebellion of 2184. Sarah's blood ran cold. The Hegemony Rebellion had been humanity's first major interstellar conflict, a brutal wake-up call that had taught Earth the hard way about the dangers lurking in the cosmos. If these ships were connected to that dark chapter of human history, then the diplomatic gathering wasn't a coincidence. It was a target. Signal the rest of the fleet, she ordered, careful to maintain the appearance of using their clunky, outdated communication systems. Tell them to maintain protocol, but begin warming up our backup systems. Every human crew member knew what that meant, preparing their ship's true capabilities without letting their alien guests realize what was happening. As the bridge crew carried out their orders with deliberate slowness, Sarah thought about the ancient sailors who had first taken to Earth's oceans in wooden ships. They too had learned that survival often meant appearing weak when you were strong, presenting an easy target only to reveal hidden strength when it mattered most. Humanity had carried those lessons to the stars. The unknown vessels were closer now, their formation tightening in a way that sent chills down Sarah's spine. They were set up for a classic pincer movement, the kind that would trap their targets between multiple firing solutions. Whoever these attackers were, they clearly thought they'd caught an easy prize, a gathering of complacent diplomatic vessels and a primitive human fleet that could barely keep its ships running. Incoming transmission from the Xylaxian delegation, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, "They're suggesting we withdraw our ships to a safe distance, since our outdated systems might not be able to handle any potential threats." Several bridge crew members had to suppress smiles at that. Sarah watched the tactical display, noting how the mysterious fleet was perfectly positioning itself to strike. Years of playing the part of a technologically inferior species had taught humanity patience. Let them think we're weak, she thought. Let them think we're hiding behind our allies' superior ships. The truth would come soon enough. Tell the Xylaxians we appreciate their concern, she replied, her eyes fixed on the approaching threat. But the Star Seeker and her fleet will hold position. After all, humanity had learned long ago that sometimes the best defense was letting your enemy think they had the upper hand, right up until the moment they discovered just how wrong they were. The bridge of the Star Seeker fell into an eerie calm as the unknown vessels closed in. Sarah watched their approach with the steady nerves of someone who had spent a lifetime preparing for moments exactly like this. The diplomatic ships, clustered around their position like bright jewels in space, had no idea they were about to become part of humanity's greatest revelation. Hostile ships entering weapons range in 3 minutes. Rodriguez reported, still maintaining the facade of working with basic scanners. Their energy signatures are rising. They're charging weapons. Around them, the alien diplomatic vessels were beginning to register the threat, their crews finally noticing what the primitive human sensors had detected long ago. Commander Chen, the Xylaxian representative's voice crackled through the calm, their usual condescension replaced by genuine concern. Our scans show multiple warships on an attack vector. We strongly advise you to retreat behind our defensive line. Your outdated vessels won't survive the first volley. Sarah allowed herself a small smile as she watched the tactical display. The enemy fleet had arranged themselves in a perfect attack formation. Perfect, that is, if their target was as defenseless as they believed. "Thank you for your concern, Ambassador," she replied calmly. "But Earth vessels never abandon their posts. It's a matter of principle." The bridge crew continued their practice dance of appearing to struggle with antiquated systems while actually bringing their true capabilities to full combat readiness. Decades of hiding their real technology had made them experts at this performance. Every panel that looked rusted was actually a form of adaptive camouflage. Every seemingly exposed power conduit was a sophisticated sensor array. Even the hull's apparent structural weaknesses were carefully designed weapon ports. "Hostile fleet broadcasting on all frequencies," Rodriguez announced. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a figure that made Sarah's jaw tighten. The commander of the enemy fleet wore the unmistakable insignia of the old hegemony, the same group that had once believed they could crush humanity's first steps into space. To all vessels, the figure's voice boomed across the command deck. "Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with immediate destruction. We are here to claim what the hegemony lost decades ago." The message was clear. They thought they were facing the same primitive human fleet they'd encountered in the past. Sarah opened a channel to all Earth ships in the sector, using their real communication system hidden beneath layers of apparent obsolescence. "All vessels, implement Thunderbolt protocol. Let's show them what humanity has been working on for the past 50 years. The enemy ships were nearly in position now, their weapons charged and ready to fire on what they thought would be an easy target. Around the Star Seeker, the diplomatic vessels were scrambling to raise their shields, their crews probably wondering why the humans weren't fleeing in terror. Hostile ships entering optimal firing range in 30 seconds. Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across his console with practiced precision. Throughout the ship, hidden systems hummed to life, their power signatures masked by decades of technological deception. Sarah stood from her command chair, her posture straight and proud as she watched the enemy fleet make their final approach. "Send one last message to the diplomatic ships," she ordered. "Tell them to hold position and prepare for a demonstration of why humanity has always insisted on maintaining our own fleet." The enemy ships moved into their final attack positions, their weapons locked on what they believed to be obsolete human vessels. In moments, they would learn why you should never judge Earth technology by its appearance, and why humanity had spent decades carefully cultivating their reputation as a technologically backward species. "All Earth ships," Sarah broadcast, her voice steady and clear. "Disengage camouflage systems. Show them what we really are." The time for hiding was over. Now it was time to reveal why humans had always smiled when others laughed at their fleet. As the Star Seeker's true form began to emerge from its deceptive shell, something unexpected happened. The hegemony ships suddenly split their formation, but not in retreat. From between their ranks, a massive vessel emerged, its design sending shockwaves of recognition through the bridge crew. It was an Earth ship, or more precisely, a perfect replica of humanity's first interstellar dreadnought. "Impossible," Sarah whispered, her eyes fixed on the vessel that shouldn't exist. The original ECS Horizon had been destroyed in the Battle of Proxima decades ago, taking with it many of Earth's earliest spacefaring secrets. Yet here was its ghost, twisted into something that made her skin crawl with its wrongness. "Commander," Rodriguez's voice cracked with urgency. "That ship, it's running on old Earth protocols. Our systems recognize the command signatures, but they're corrupted somehow. They've taken our original designs and modified them." The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. Someone had not only salvaged Earth's early technology, but had spent years studying and perverting it. The massive replica of the Horizon opened fire first, not with the crude weapons everyone expected from an old Earth vessel, but with something that made the space between ships distort and ripple. The diplomatic vessels scattered in panic, their superior technology suddenly seeming inadequate against this unknown threat. "All ships, execute pattern Delta," Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. The Earth fleet responded instantly, their true forms now fully revealed, sleek, advanced vessels that bore little resemblance to their previously rustic appearance. But even as they moved to engage, Sarah noticed something that made her blood run cold. "Commander," her tactical officer called out, "the enemy ship isn't just using our old protocols, it's adapting to our new ones. It's learning our patterns faster than should be possible." The realization struck her. Someone hadn't just stolen their old technology. They'd been watching, learning, and planning for this moment all along. Through the command window, Sarah watched as the fake horizon unleashed another wave of distorted space, this time aimed directly at the Star Seeker. But there was something familiar about the attack pattern, something that tugged at memories from her earliest days in the service. The enemy wasn't just using Earth technology. They were using Earth tactics, but with a precision that seemed almost inhuman. New energy signature detected within the replica vessel. Rodriguez reported, his voice tense. It's similar to the quantum signature we detected during the Proxima incident, right before the original horizon was lost. Sarah's mind raced. The Proxima incident had been classified at the highest levels, its true nature known only to a handful of survivors. The diplomatic ships, having recovered from their initial shock, were now watching in stunned silence as humanity's primitive fleet engaged in combat maneuvers that should have been impossible for their supposed level of technology. But Sarah barely noticed their reaction. Her attention was fixed on the enemy vessel that shouldn't exist. "Open a secure channel to Earth Command," she ordered, her voice low. "Priority 1. Tell them we found what really happened to the horizon. And tell them," she paused, watching as the massive ship began to emanate an energy signature she'd hoped never to see again. "Tell them Protocol Omega is now in effect." The bridge crew froze momentarily at those words. Protocol Omega was more than just a military code. It was an acknowledgement that they were facing something that threatened not just their fleet, but the very future of human space travel. As the fake horizon charged up another attack, its hull beginning to shimmer with impossible energies, Sarah realized that the deception they'd maintained for so long might have cost them more than they'd ever imagined. "All ships," she broadcast on their true command frequency, "prepare for temporal displacement. They haven't just stolen our technology. They'd taken something we swore never to use again. The real battle was about to begin, and this time, humanity's careful plans might not be enough to save them." The space around the Star Seeker warped and twisted as the replica horizon unleashed its temporal weapon, the same devastating technology that humanity had banned after the Proxima incident. But Sarah had been there that day, had seen firsthand what happened when humans tried to harness time itself as a weapon. More importantly, she knew exactly why it had been forbidden. "All Earth vessels, initiate chronoshield protocols," she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of someone who'd prepared for this moment her entire career. Across the fleet, hidden systems activated, generating fields that the watching alien diplomats probably thought were impossible for primitive human technology. The replica horizon's temporal attack hit their shields and shattered into countless ribbons of distorted space-time. But instead of deflecting the energy, the Earth ship's shields absorbed it, their true nature finally revealed. Every outdated human vessel began to glow with an inner light that defied conventional physics. "Now they understand," Sarah whispered, watching the enemy fleet's formation falter. "We didn't abandon temporal technology. We mastered it. We just knew better than to show it off." The Star Seeker's systems hummed with power as decades of hidden advancement came to bear. But the replica horizon had one more surprise. As the Earth fleet prepared to counterattack, the massive ship began to split apart, its hull peeling away to reveal something that made Sarah's heart stop. Inside was a temporal core, but not one of human design. The crystalline structure at its heart pulsed with familiar energy, Xylaxian energy. "By the stars," the Xylaxian ambassador's voice cracked over the comm. That's impossible. We never." But Sarah knew better. Someone had taken Earth's banned temporal technology and combined it with Xylaxian crystalline engineering, creating something that should never have existed. "All ships, execute Pattern Omega," Sarah ordered, her voice cold with determination. Across the fleet, Earth vessels moved in perfect synchronization, their true forms now fully revealed, not as primitive rust buckets, but as the most advanced temporal warfare ships ever created. They had spent decades perfecting not just the technology, but the discipline to use it wisely. The replica horizon fired again, its hybrid temporal core unleashing waves of destructive energy. But this time, the Earth fleet was ready. Each ship activated its temporal synchronization field, creating a perfect harmony of spacetime that even the hybrid weapon couldn't penetrate. "Target their temporal core," Sarah commanded. Pattern Delta 7. The Star Seeker's weapons, hidden for so long beneath layers of apparent obsolescence, powered up. But they weren't firing conventional weapons. Instead, they released precisely calculated temporal pulses designed not to destroy, but to stabilize. The enemy vessel's hybrid core began to resonate with their attack, its unstable merger of human and alien technology finally reaching a critical point. The hegemony ships, realizing too late what was happening, tried to flee. But they had forgotten one crucial detail about fighting humans. We never show all our cards at once. Now, Sarah ordered, and every Earth ship fired simultaneously. Their combined temporal fields created a perfect containment sphere around the replica horizon. Inside that sphere, time itself began to correct the abomination of merged technologies, pulling apart what should never have been combined. The massive ship imploded in a spectacular display of temporal energy, but there was no destruction, no loss of life. Instead, the hybrid core collapsed in on itself, its components separating safely into their original forms. As the energy dissipated, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. This was why humanity had hidden their true capabilities, not out of fear or weakness, but because they understood that some powers needed to be used with wisdom rather than pride. To all diplomatic vessels, she broadcast on an open channel. The threat has been neutralized, and now you understand why Earth has always maintained its own fleet, its own way of doing things. She paused, looking out at the stunned alien ships, because sometimes the most advanced technology isn't about what you can do, it's about what you choose not to do until you absolutely must. The diplomatic ships hummed silently in space, their crews trying to process what they just witnessed. They had come expecting to find primitive human vessels in need of their protection. Instead, they had discovered that humanity's greatest deception hadn't been hiding their weaknesses, it had been hiding their strength. In the hours following the battle, the Star Seeker's bridge was filled with a different kind of tension as diplomatic delegations from across the galaxy demanded explanations. Sarah stood calmly before them, no longer playing the role of a commander from a technologically inferior species, but rather as a representative of humanity's true capabilities. The deception was necessary, she explained to the gathered ambassadors, not because we feared your power, but because we feared our own. When we first discovered temporal technology during the Proxima incident, we saw what unbridled advancement without wisdom could do. We chose a different path, to advance in secret, to master our capabilities not for show, but for the moments when they truly mattered. The Xylaxian ambassador's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been embarrassment. We have treated humanity as lesser beings, offering protection you never needed, yet you accepted our condescension without complaint. Why? The question hung in the air, heavy with decades of misunderstanding. Sarah's response was simple. Because pride is the enemy of progress. Every laugh, every dismissive comment, every offered upgrade to our systems gave us the freedom to perfect our technology without the pressure of showing it off. We learned from Earth's oceans long ago. The deadliest predators aren't always the ones that show their teeth. The cleanup operation was already underway. Earth ships, now operating openly with their true capabilities, were stabilizing the patches of disturbed spacetime left by the battle. The recovered components of the hybrid core would be studied, not to replicate its dangerous fusion of technologies, but to ensure such a thing could never be created again. Commander, Rodriguez called from his station. Earth Command is requesting a full report on the temporal containment procedures we used. They're saying our solution might help perfect the safety protocols for all temporal technology. Sarah nodded, knowing that even in victory, humanity's work was far from over. The diplomatic ships prepared to depart, but there was a notable difference in how their crews regarded the Earth vessels now. Gone was the condescension, replaced by a newfound respect, not just for humanity's hidden capabilities, but for their discipline in keeping them hidden. There's something else you should know. Sarah addressed the departing ambassadors. The technology you saw today, it's not our most advanced. There are other systems, other capabilities that we've developed but chosen not to reveal. Not because we don't trust you, but because we understand that true strength lies in knowing when not to show your full hand. As the last diplomatic vessel departed, Sarah stood at her familiar spot by the bridge window. The stars looked different now, somehow clearer without the need to maintain their careful deception. "Send word to all Earth ships," she ordered. "Return to standard operations, but maintain Protocol Omega awareness. Just because they know about some of our capabilities doesn't mean we show them all." The Star Seeker's engines hummed to life, no longer pretending to be outdated technology, but still not revealing their full potential. As they set course for Earth, Sarah thought about all the other secrets humanity still kept, all the other advancements they'd chosen to hide not out of fear, but out of wisdom. "You know," she said to her crew, "they're still underestimating us, and that's exactly how it should be." The bridge crew shared knowing smiles as their ship slipped into faster-than-light travel, using methods that their alien allies still believed were centuries beyond human capability. After all, humanity's greatest strength had never been in the technology they revealed, but in the wisdom to know when to keep their true capabilities hidden. Some might still laugh at the ancient fleet, but now they would do so wondering what other secrets those seemingly primitive ships might hold.